Hi, this is Estere with your Starry Blessings Astrology full moon update coming up this week. Thanksgiving, sure to be intense. The full moon falls just as the sun enters Sagittarius. The moon will be opposite at 0 degrees Gemini. Jupiter is conjunct the sun in Sagittarius. Mercury is conjunct the sun in Sagittarius, so it's a mercurial Jupiterian influence on the full moon. So full moons occur every month when the moon is exactly opposite the sun, opposite sign, same degree. Sun just enters Sagittarius on the 22nd. Sagittarius is ruled by Jupiter. It's a fire sign. It's a spiritually open and expansive sign. It's also a sign of exaggeration. Things can be way out of proportion. From all the way from there's too much food to there's not enough food, to there's too much conversation, to there's not enough conversation. It kind of expands anything it touches. I think there's going to be, I think it's going to be an emotionally intense weekend. The full moon is always emotionally intense, and it occurs the night of Thanksgiving. Well, it depends on where you live, but Mountain Time, it's going to be at 10:39 p.m. and on the East Coast, it's the next, it's after midnight. So it could be after dinner, but leading up to the full moon, the waxing of the full moon is always a very intense time. It's actually less intense when the full moon actually occurs, because already then it's moving to waning, but as it's waxing, energy can really build up. So the imperative, I think, with this full moon is that the Sagittarian energy gives you the opportunity to see things in a bigger perspective, and the Gemini energy is more about kind of processing conversation and kind of the day-to-day connection. So you swing in a full moon from one end of the spectrum to another. So, oh, I'm able to see the big picture, to like, oh, what did he mean by that conversation? So it's kind of this in-out balancing act. The other thing that's significant, I think, about this full moon is that it's at 0 degrees of the signs involved. So the sun just entered Sagittarius, 0 degrees Sagittarius. The moon is at 0 degrees Gemini. So when the sun and the moon or planet is at 0 degrees of a sign, it's really a fresh new energy. So it's kind of a interesting combination in that we have a full moon, which we know is a time of release and letting go, and yet we have kind of this new energy coming in of the 0 degrees of the sign. So it's like maybe a fresh new way to release, a fresh new way to let go. Maybe old stories that you had with the family, or from a long time ago, or projected stories about how you think it's going to be. You can let all that go. I mean, can you let all that go? That's really up to you. It's going to free you up. What they say, it's like when you are thinking bad thoughts about someone else, it's like taking poison and expecting the other person to die. So, I mean, what do you want to be feeling and experiencing? And maybe it's painful to be around family. Maybe you don't want to be around family, or maybe there are certain people you enjoy being around, and it feels more like soul family to you, and that's how you want to celebrate this week. Maybe you're not going to celebrate at all. Maybe you're just like, not into it. Whatever is real for you, I think that Sagittarius is about telling the truth to yourself. And Sag, it's a bit of an exaggerator. It's a storyteller. It can stretch the truth, and yet the symbol for it is the arrow pointing to truth. So kind of getting through the muck of your own story that you got going in your own head, that's part of the gift of this full moon. Maybe seeing the vulnerability of the people you're around and not seeing their faults, but seeing how they love in the way that they can love, and maybe you're loving in the way that you can love, and to release the judgment. I don't see any judgment really involved in this full moon at all, and so you can release the urge, the desire to judge, because that's what keeps you in kind of in a contracted space. You can't give and receive love freely, and of course that's what feels best, is the giving and receiving love freely. This full moon, so imagine, so here's the sun with Jupiter and Mercury being the planet of communication, and it's going retrograde right now, so glitches, things are maybe not going to go exactly the way you thought they were going to go. Okay, so what? Let it go. Let go of the control. Be in the magic of the potential. Jupiter is going to make that sun energy very big. It's probably going to be a lot of storytelling and a lot of exaggeration, maybe hopefully a lot of gregariousness and joke telling, and big perspective, big picture enjoyment and gratitude, of course. And then opposite, we have the moon in Gemini, ruled by Mercury. Mercury's the ruler of Gemini. So, it's a lot of chatting, a lot of conversation, a lot of exchange. And then making a square, 90-degree angle to this full moon is Mars. Mars entered Pisces, and in the early degrees of Pisces is going to make a square to this full moon. And I think Mars in Pisces is going to really open up the opportunity and push you to be more loving, to be more compassionate, to look at your situation in the biggest perspective, and really see that you are part of this everything. You are part of the unity consciousness. You are one player in this big play on the planet here, and the kinder and more loving that you can be to yourself and to others helps lift the whole vibration of the planet. Mars and Pisces, you're going to want to give stuff away. Bring some extra dollar bills with you if you're traveling. Give some money away. Maybe you have little gifts you like to give away, little messages, little love messages. Be an emissary of love. And the more you're an emissary of love, the more love there is coming back to you. It's just kind of how it works. So the challenge, because there's always a square, when there's a square involved, so Mars is making a square, creating a T shape with that full moon. So here's Mars, here's the full moon, T shape. You have the opportunity with the one leg of that T that's missing. So like imagine it being a cross now, and opposite of Pisces is Virgo. Helps you to refine, helps you to think about things in kind of in a clearer way. So taking those emotions and then also understanding with a refined sense of knowing that we're all here having a spiritual journey in a physical body. And if you're thinking about it any other way, it just doesn't make any sense, right? You're on this big journey. You're here for a very short time, and you get to experience whatever you choose to experience. And I think that the opportunity in this full moon, especially with this Mars energy, Mars and Pisces, is to encourage you to open up to more love. And you see someone in need, help them, because you might be in need, and somebody's there to help you. So I'm wishing you a beautiful full moon. Check out my full moon death rebirth ritual video and do some rituals with yourself about letting go. Let go of the stories you don't want to tell you no longer want to tell yourself. And just be the story that you want to be. Mars and Pisces really lets you envision the greatest story of you that you can tell. And you have the opportunity to do that this week. So wishing you a beautiful week, an amazing full moon of release of old crap you don't need anymore, and really allowing for the love to flow. You are love always, and you will always return back to love. Thanks for joining me today. I'm Estere with Starry Blessings Astrology. Get out there and howl at that moon.